as backyard chicken keepers who thoroughly love their backyard chickens, we take it very seriously to make sure that our flock is as healthy as possible. That being said, we ain't stinking perfect. We've had chickens for over 9 years now, and we've made our mistakes, okay? Fair amount of mistakes. We could have made more, could have made less. But it's important to know, first of all, that you gotta keep trying, keep learning. And second of all, it's really important to know that you gotta do whatever you can to keep these girls healthy. And determining their health can be a little tricky sometimes. One of the silliest ways to do so, kind of the most honest way to do so, is pay attention to their manure, okay? If it's really watery, you might have some issues. Now, if it's just watery because they've been drinking water, then, or like a lot of water in the heat, then okay, it is what it is. They're gonna be fine. But if you have consistent watery poop inside their manure, you may have a whole lot of underlying issues. We learned this because, first of all, my wife, especially Angela Kay, is very diligent about reading information. I've done a lot of reading information myself as well, but also we don't learn it by kind of making a mistake. You see, years ago when we first had chickens, okay, so we've had them for over 9 years. When we first started raising chickens, we wanted to go with a nice locally milled, hopefully locally grown feed that was that we thought was going to be superior to what you could get at like Tractor Supply. We used this feed for years, partially because it was cheap, okay? And we thought chicken feed was supposed to be cheap anyways, right? Shouldn't be very expensive. It should, and a locally produced product has to be better, correct? Well, come to find out, that particular feed was not. You see, we started having issues with our birds. Some of them was because maybe some poor breeding, but some of it was also because, plain and simple, the feed that we were using wasn't letting the chickens develop right. We learned this because we had at 2 years old, we had one particular hen whose crop, okay, the crop is the portion of their chest here where their food goes into to process, okay, because her crop was getting watery and gushy, and she hadn't even been eating or drinking. She was already sickly at that point, and so her crop was watery and gushy. And so what Angela, being the smart one that she is and really good researcher, she decided she was going to start doing some research. Come to find out that it's most likely bodily fluids, maybe infection as far as that goes, backing up from her back into her crop. And that's because her organs, like her kidneys and whatnot, was no longer processing anything and couldn't process anything, and was causing infection to come back in. See, that's one of the main things you don't realize, is because chickens don't, they don't have a way to urine separately from their manure, right? Their urine passes through in their manure, and so they have kidneys. So her kidneys weren't exactly processing the fluid correctly, and then so her body, she couldn't process food and everything else. Anyways, long story short, she wound up dying, but her crop would get enlarged and actually wound up suffocating her because it pressed on like an air sac in her lungs there, and she could no longer breathe, and she wound up dying. But because we had all these issues, we became on a quest, and obviously, to try and make sure we were doing everything we could to keep them as healthy as possible, which we were already trying to do, but we were just deceived by this certain feed. So what are the steps you can take maybe to make sure that these beautiful backyard creatures are as healthy as they can be, as happy as they can be, and able to produce eggs for you? Because that's essentially the reason we have chickens anyways, right? I mean, obviously we all love chickens. If you have chickens, you probably love them, but you didn't get started on just to have some chickens. You want some delicious eggs. Super important thing is you need to have some good clean water. CK right here, that's a little cheap bell waters you can get at Tractor Supply or wherever, and this is not enough water for our entire flock, but we have it out here when we have them in the yard just to make sure that they have some water close by. So have some good clean water, and once in a while put some organic apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, okay? Organic unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, just for a little probiotic boost and just to help them help their digestive tract stay well and everything, just overall goodness. It really does do wonders for them. But also you need to make sure that you're doing things for them early. Make sure they got great feed from the start, from the jump, okay? Do your research. Make sure that you're getting a feed that everyone's happy with, even from their starter grower feed, right? Maybe you don't really realize this, but they need to have some grit. Even when they're babies, have some chick grit. And then when they're older, have some layer grit. just a larger piece of rocks. Yes, they need to eat rocks, okay? That helps them process their food. They don't have teeth, so the rocks are their teeth. The rocks gets inside their gizzard and it processes their food and helps them to be able to digest it properly. Make sure that feed is well balanced, okay? It needs to be a good, well balanced feed. Do your research. Now, we are not affiliated with this company, but we do love them so much and believe in that product so much that we're going to tell you the feed we use, which is New Country Organics. We use New Country Organics classic milled feed, okay, just classic grind layer feed. They have several different varieties or different grinds and mixes. We just use the classic grind layer feed. We get it from a local dealer, and that feed has absolutely saved the lives of many of our chickens. One in particular who is over 9 years old, she would have been dead 3 years ago if we were not using this feed. Now she's obviously nine and she's close to dying at this point, but we got 3 more years of her with some eggs actually because of that feed. I'm sure there's other good feeds out there, so don't think you have to use just particularly that feed. We just do because we just decided we're going to fully invest in our chickens' health. We believe that chickens also need good access to grass. This is, we don't leave them out here in the yard all day long. This is a supervised free range time, but beyond that, they're inside that coop and run right there. That is also covered for their protection and safety, but we do believe they need time in the space of the yard to get out, run, get some grass, get some bugs, dig in the dirt, eat some dirt. They'll eat the dirt too, but whatever they can do just to get out and have some space and run and get some fresh greenery. One thing as well, you need to make sure that if they are, that no matter what they're eating, if they're in a run or if they're in the yard, maybe make sure they stay parasite free. We were anti-diatomaceous earth okay, for a long time. Well, I'll say for maybe 2 years, okay? And then a couple years into it, we had a chicken with a parasite problem. Again, feed. We didn't know the feed was poor quality. We didn't know that the chickens weren't, that their insides weren't developing appropriately, maybe, and that some of them had underlying issues. Well, we had one who wound up having a parasite issue. For our belief, we thought she did, and so we started using a little diatomaceous earth, and sure enough, she actually got rid of the parasites. You know, she manured them out, and we found it, and so it worked out, right? If you're not aware, diatomaceous earth is a good natural dewormer. You just mix a little bit in with their feed, and just basically a light dusting in their feed, and it will help keep them free from parasites, or get rid of the parasites if they have them already. That is a little controversial, but that's just our experience with it. One more basic thing, because this is all we're talking about, just basics. One more basic thing is make sure they got a good place to take a dust bath, honestly. And diatomaceous earth helps in your dust bath as well. Diatomaceous earth or just some dried herbs, or maybe all. Make sure they have a good place for a dust bath, because that's how they get clean. Yes, they waller in the dirt and get clean that way. All right, it just keeps them clean and dry, and keep diatomaceous earth in there to make sure that you don't have any mite issues, red mites or bird mites. There's 2 different kinds of mites, and just to make sure they don't have mite issues, because you can get mites, even like bird mites, even in your bedding from Tractor Supply. Okay, and diatomaceous earth inside of your bedding will help keep them free from mites as well, and keep your coop clean. All right, keep them clean and dry, sheltered. All that stuff, that also helps as well. But these are very simple steps you can take just to make sure that your chickens are happy, healthy, and producing eggs for many years. Because again, we've had chickens laying eggs into their 9th year, okay? We had 9-year-old chickens this year laying eggs, only because we took the time to make sure that we were constantly doing what we could do best to make sure that our chickens were happy and healthy. If you do that, you will have success for many years as a chicken keeper. Now, mind you, the chickens are still going to get sick and die sometimes, okay? But as long as you're doing what you can, you're doing the best you can, then your overall health of the flock will be wonderful, and you will have great eggs for many years. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.